Hello, everyone. On behalf of the Social Impact and Responsibility Club, we are very happy to, for our last day, to invite you to the last day's event. We would also like to thank you very much for your great participation in our previous events, both on Tuesday and Wednesday. Your feedback was overwhelming, and that gives us strength to continue making events like that. Today's event, we want to tackle, in our previous events, we tackled the business, finding business solution, we tackled the leadership. What we want to tackle with our today's event is to explore green career paths, and we want to receive reflections from sustainability professionals. For that reasons, we have invited two eminent speakers, Mr. Go Nakanishi and Mr. Simon Liang. They are both CEIBS alumni. So let me introduce them. So Mr. Nakanishi is the founder and CEO of Integral. He founded Integral while he was attending CEIBS MBA. Before starting Integral, he was engaged in R&D functional chemicals at the world's largest chemical manufacturer. He was also participated in the startups in Hong Kong. He holds a master's degree in chemistry and a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Yokohama City University of Japan. Mr. Simon Liang is the managing director of HBG investment firm. HBG is a German family office in China. Parallel to this, he's working as a CFO for their portfolio company Helio Additive. Before CEIBS, he managed the Sino-German cooperation on automotive safety. He was commissioned by the German federal government. He holds a bachelor's degree in German literature, a master's degree in modern China studies, and he also holds the MBA CEIBS as Mr. Nakanishi. I would like please to introduce our speakers to give a first introduction of themselves, and then we will move on with some questions. So please, Mr. Nakanishi, you may start.
Okay, thank you for introduction, Eleni. My name is Go Nakanishi. So I'm the one of the CEIBS alumni. I'm from batch 2018. So I'm very happy to be back to CEIBS community. So just briefly introducing myself, I'm currently managing the research consulting firm called Integral, which I set this company 5 years ago. During the CEIBS MBA programs with Chinese classmates. And we are basically doing the research market survey of in new energy sectors and providing the business consultancy services for overseas companies. And we are helping their business development and market entry in new energy sector in China. And now the 5 years has passed, and so far we have the 10 professional analysts, and actually 3 of our analysts is from the CEIBS alumni as well. One is from the batch 2020, and the another from the batch 2021, and me, and hopefully maybe next year so we can get one more CEIBS talents next year, and maybe we can spend more time in the discussion. Okay, just pass to Simon.
Thank you, Go, and thank you, Eleni. Yeah, so I'm Simon. I'm from MBA 2021. I'm not the guy who's working with Go, but one of my classmates is. So, but yeah, I mean, manager director sounds really, you know, high flying, but actually, I'm just I'm representing basically a family office in China right now. As you know, or might know, family offices are a very special kind of investment firms of some sort, right? So basically, family office manage the money of rich people, right? And in this function, this management, this work becomes part business, but also part legacy building, as you can probably imagine. So in our case, or I'm mandated basically to use some part of that family's money to invest in early stage tech companies with a special focus on impact, right? So basically what it means is that we only want to fund those companies that are solving problems in the world that we think are worth solving, right? So this is basically my main role here in China. I've been doing it since my graduation last year, so about actually exactly a year ago. In this role, I'm in a position to talk to a lot of founders, entrepreneurs that are very purpose-driven, right? And this is a very, very inspiring and very interesting work, as you can imagine, because in my mind, having the capabilities to be, to set up a business, to be successful in financial terms, I think this is for sure something, very admirable, something that's a very, very important skill. But in my opinion, only those who are really purpose-driven, really want to solve problems, are motivated by something more than financial gains. Those are the ones that will have success in the long run. So this is basically the work that I'm involved in. Eleni was also mentioned that I'm serving as CFO of one of our portfolio companies. In this case, yes, we invested in this company, in this particular company, and we realized soon that on a personal level, the founders and I, we had a very close alignment on our values, on the way we look at the world. So yeah, we started discussing whether I can basically spend some time on daily operations, basically, right? So this is sort of, I want to say, half of my time I'm spending now to help this particular startup grow. I'm happy to tell you more maybe later on about that. Maybe a little bit more about my personal background. Yes, Eleni already mentioned it. I have a little bit of an untypical background. So now I'm in this sort of VC world, but before that, I really never had any contacts to the financial world or investment world. I have a literature background and happy to discuss any literature issues with you too if you're interested in that. Basically the way I viewed myself was always sort of a bridge between Germany and China. I was born and raised in Germany. My parents are Chinese. So during my studies, I was really trying to learn more about my roots, my cultural roots. This led me to my first job, really, which was a government commission job in a government commission project in Beijing, bringing German and Chinese industries, especially in the automotive sector, together. So that was sort of my entry into China and entry into the business world. And there it was, I really realized how much impact businesses have on our societies, right? On our futures, right? Most technologies are developed in big corporates or in startups, right? You need sort of this financial incentive to bring talent into those areas to really create impact. And this is really when I decided I want to explore this space a little bit more, and decided to go to CEIBS to learn more about how businesses are run, how entrepreneurs think, what strategies can we apply to make companies successful. So this was sort of the, in two sentences, my road to CEIBS and to this particular job that I'm in now. I hope that made sense. Eleni, I think back to you.
Yeah, thank you very much both for the sharing. Let me ask my first question for both of you. So if I'm correct, and please correct me if I'm wrong. Before starting your own business, you were working in the chemical industry, and then you founded a startup with a focus on energy, and later on, as I saw in your profile, you are doing also ESG reports and so on. So the question is why you chose that industry, and the same questions go for Simon. Why and especially if we're talking about VC investments and so on, it's a very, very challenging area of being part of, and why you didn't pick of any other VCs, and especially because you said you have that German breed. Usually what is common in China is that you are acting as a breed, and in the broad area of investment in China, you couldn't think of investing in impact investing. So these are my first question. This is my first question.
Okay, thank you for maybe my introduction is also maybe too short, and together with your questions, okay, I will answer why I choose this industry. So indeed, actually, I did have no relevant experiences in green before I set up this company. And actually, to be honest, actually, I didn't have much strong expert pursuit in this career path in the green industry. Maybe I will not answer in this way if you're a client, but this is a CEIBS community, so I'm just telling the truth. And the reasons the first opportunity actually comes up when I joined the entrepreneurship's modules in CEIBS MBA program. As I said, I set up this company with a Chinese classmate, and I was at that time assigned the task to establish some business model and made a presentation. And actually the current research consulting, this business model was one of them. But to be honest, actually we building multiple business model, which is totally different from the sustainability. Like we actually design operating the shared office, targeting the business travelers. And we also open up the small online shops in Japanese e-commerce and importing some heat insulation material from the Qingdao province into China. And we also do some business matching services between Japan and China. But actually, all these initial business model has failed after multiple trial and errors in the first years. And the first opportunities actually comes up when some Japanese government agency in new energy sectors, it's so-called New Energy Development Organization in Japan. It's called NEDO. And there is 2 Chinese representatives officers come to visit the CEIBS campus. And I was lucky on the campus, and my friend just asked me, okay, now 2 Japanese people is coming, so can you help me to do the campus tours? So that's a moment actually got the first opportunities. And after we know each other, this NEDO's Beijing representatives get curious about my entrepreneurship activities in CEIBS. And he asked me if I'm interested in to help the marketing survey in new energy market. So actually my intuition just told me that this gonna be the breakthrough point. So I just believe in my intuitions and devoted my energies into this output. And after the first output was delivered, they're pretty satisfied that, and they also publicized our first survey for offshore wind in China, and they publicized in the government's agency website. In that way, many of the Japanese enterprises like Toyota's, Panasonic, Mitsubishi Corporation, Mitsui, those companies currently are clients, is inquiring about service to our company. So in that way, things get better, and that is actually first how I comes up with the current business model.
What about you, Simon? What brought you in that industry? Not industry.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I think in this case the question would be why this specific focus on impact in the broader sense, right? In the broader VC world, right? I think this is a very good question, and a question I'm being asked a lot, and I think it's there are 2 dimensions to it, right? VC is a business first, right? I want to make it very clear that although it's a family office, it's not a charity, right? So we're not a NGO. We are not just doing some sort of philanthropy, which also has its place, of course, right? I'm not trying to discredit this area, but in what we are convinced of is that we want to use the sort of the rules of this capitalist VC game to unleash the energy of and the creativity and innovation of entrepreneurs onto problems in this world, right? And those problems, of course, in the world that we live now, they are usually, in the area of sustainability, social equity. Those are the two, let's say, larger areas. And many startups that we talk to are solving issues in those larger areas. So this is our motivation behind it, right? So this is our logic why we focus on this area. We think that in the end, if you really want to solve the big problems in this world, you need this really strong financial incentive. Sort of the idea that if you can hit the right, if you have the right idea and the skill to execute, you can basically build the next unicorn, right? This needs to be the motivation behind every investment and every startup that is founded that we fund. So this is the first part. But secondly, I think also from a purely financial perspective, right? Eleni, you mentioned that sort of this impact investment or green investment is not very common in China yet, which is probably true. But China is becoming more and more of an outlier. So if you look at European, American, and also, for example, Japanese investments, and you hard or very, very rare, it's very rare to see companies being funded that have no sort of impact focus at all, right? So if you are a pure if you are a startup in a polluting industry, if you create a product that is harmful to people's health, I think it's getting rarer that those startups are being funded, right? So in the end, what it means is the consensus is that this whole investment industry, the whole VC lifecycle, the VC value chain is moving towards identifying companies that have some sort of purpose behind it, right? I mean, we can, of course, then differentiate which ones are just pretending, using it as a marketing tool, and which ones are really trying to do something. I mean, of course, this is a different discussion. But what I'm trying to say is that there's just this demand side pressure that consumers and also investors are very particular now and very aware of what type of brands, what type of companies they want to support. And on top of that, especially in China, you see more and more policy pressure in this regard, right? So, for example, we are looking into a startup in the concrete cement industry, right? In China, this is a state-owned enterprise dominated industry. And so this software is sort of, like a green solution for the industry. And it's interesting for us because we know of course, I mean, it's very clear that China is hopefully serious about its carbon neutrality goals. And the first in line to be under scrutiny under those new policies and regulations are state-owned enterprises, right? So if you have an industry that is basically dominated by state-owned enterprises, in a few years they will be under immense pressure to reduce their carbon footprint, just as an example, right? So and then it makes sense basically to add this policy pressure into the whole equation, right? So with this being said, so we have sort of an internal motivation to fund impact-focused startups, but also we think in financial terms it makes sense, or it's actually the only choice that you have right now to understand what type of purpose those startups want to fulfill. So to answer your question, it wasn't really a choice per se. It's more a, it's a rational decision. If you want to go into venture capital right now, you have to be aware of sustainability and impact.
Thank you very much for your sharing. I have so many questions that I want to ask based on what you said, but I want to keep a structure. And let me do a parenthesis to the questions that I wanted, because now we have Go, who is representing, let's say, the ESG reports. Mr. Go, I'm not sure exactly if this is the right term. Please correct me. And on the other side, we have the VC part, where they use those reports and they have to justify somehow that their companies are doing ESG related investments or so on. What are the challenges that you find in your job in that particular aspect of the report? How, for the question, to make it even clearer, are you able to really look into the data and find out how green or how much they
okay, maybe it's maybe I can answer in this way. As a career as a professional consultant in this the green industries, I actually didn't have any even the consulting is a background, so I didn't have any special expertise. So of course, in the very beginning of the careers, I have no ideas how to even make a PPT and make a deliverable, which is meeting the satisfaction of a client. But actually, the basic ability required in this consultancy service is still, I think, same regardless industry or even the job types. That's the fundamental capability which is critical in this industry, is the ability to think deep and thinking logically and being analytical sense. And I think these fundamental skill is primary important, and probably maybe I'm good at thinking deeper than average people, and also have some strong interest in running the new things. So that's I'm still working on the way. Of course, I learned running the other third parties report like McKinsey, Roland Berger's, and running some frameworks. But it actually didn't take time to learn this skill set or frameworks. Like typically, like 1 hour, 1 year or 2 years is enough to catch up. Just running this framework, but the fundamentals ability, like thinking logically, deep, analytical, is I think it's much harder. And when new applicants posted JD have a job interview with me, most of these, particularly for young talents, asking me if relevant experiences is important. To find a job position to get the careers as a consultant. But I always reply that it's actually not mandatory. A primary criteria is if your more basic ability. But of course, having such experiences or skill set is a bonus actually, and particularly for the MBA students, I think the company is assessing you from the perspectives of the future candidate for the leadership position. So I think they try to recruit the best talent who is very good at capable for these basics capability, rather than recruiting the tens of the mediocre talents with some skill sets or relevant experiences. So now the 5 years has passed, and we have the many analysts, but we have the confidence we are no different. We are no inferior to the others like first year consulting firm, and so far most of our client is a top tier Japanese firm mostly. So we are pretty confident in our skills. So I think you don't have to much worry about these preparations. I think at this moment, this green industry is still, the very beginning stages. It's very young industry. So I think most of the company would not require the talents to have this kind of relevant experiences or skill set. So yeah, but in the future, of course, competition get higher. But so far, yeah, you should don't have too much worry about it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, so I don't, we're not hiring, right? So I don't have any job interviews, but of course, we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, right? I mean, those are also sort of interviews, right? You want to understand what, who they are and who you're investing in, right? So, so I have to say, we are not too deep into ESG as a framework, because we look at early stage startups, right? So early stage means usually pre-revenue or around early revenue. So it's not those companies don't have sort of, ESG as they can't answer those questions really, right? So I think the question for us is how, or not just for us, for every investor in this field, is how do you measure the impact, right? Or how do you measure what they say, how do you quantify whatever they are claiming, right?
Exactly.
And yeah, so this is I think a key question. I think this is actually something where a lot of academia, but also practitioners are putting a lot of work into in this moment. This is something that is being done right now. So if people are interested in this, this is extremely interesting field for sure, right? For us, we don't have a fixed, let's say, framework where we really, dogmatically measure the impact before the investment, the impact after the investment. Again, for us, the companies we look at, they are too early stage to really do that. For us, let's say the main hurdle or the main filter that we apply is really what do the founders want to do, right? And are they genuine in saying that they want to solve a certain problem? I just want to give you an example, right? I think to illustrate that. So we looked in the past into plant-based food, plant-based meat, right? I think you're aware that this is a hot industry right now in VC terms. When an industry is hot, it has pros and cons, right? Pros, of course, it attracts a lot of talent, it brings up great ideas, accelerates innovation, etc., right? But on the con side, it also means that it attracts people that basically just want to ride the wave, right? Just want to basically benefit in financial terms and don't really care about the impact that they have, right? So we looked at, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 companies in the plant-based meat space in China, right? And it was, so we made one investment out of those. And it was very interesting to see because it was a wide range of people that are in this space, right? On the one hand, so this is the company that we invested in, entrepreneurs that are very, very conscious about sustainability, about what problem they actually want to solve, that they don't create new problems by trying to solve an old one, right? I mean, this is something that happens quite frequently in those startups. They were very aware of their supply chain, the ingredients that they use, etc., right? So very clear in this regards. And then the other side of the spectrum, you see companies, or we interviewed entrepreneurs that didn't care at all, basically, right? So that's just, for example, fly in all their main ingredients from the US to produce in China because they were some sort of patented ingredients. They didn't want to produce them in China, so they fly in everything, right? So and when asked about, but what about the, let's say, carbon footprint of those ingredients, this basically then at this stage you see, okay, they don't really know and they don't really care. And I guess it's fine. I mean, it's probably not something that we will invest in, but it showed, that it's something even at early stage companies, if you spend time with the founders and ask the right questions, you will at some point figure out, what really drives them, right? And this is something I think is sort of a general rule for this whole industry. I mean, sustainability is it's not a real industry, right? But let's say everybody who wants to go into this space, you need to be, you need to have some sort of value alignment with everybody else, right? I think it's hard for people who don't believe in this, just want to have a job of some sorts to really be successful in the long run, right? So if this is something that you feel passionate about, I mean, this I think is the only requirement, I think, to try to find a job in this space, because as Go said, it's a quite new space, right? It's not that mature yet. So actually, a lot of people from other industries are joining now and trying to move things forward, right? So this is it's interesting time, and you see a lot of different domain expertise mixed together now in this space.
That's true. Ms. Go, you mentioned before that back in 2017, you asked about that film to do that first new energy report, and you just said that it was your intuition that said, okay, there is something interesting here. So my question for both of you is this: how do you see the sustainability, ESG, energy? Because energy is aligned with sustainability nowadays when we are talking about hydrogen, batteries, electric vehicles. So they are correlated. So my question is this: what does your intuition tell us now about how things are going to, what the trend is going to be, and what are the new business opportunities that you see for foreign companies that they want to invest in China, and then we will explore that dimension.
Okay, maybe you are asking two questions, and the first question is about the future outlook about the business opportunity as a whole for this green industry, right? So actually, I'm pretty likes what I'm doing this research consulting in this green industry, because not just because now everybody is paying attention or the investment is getting active, but future like the business opportunity, the potential of the new business opportunities is tremendous in this industry. So your green trend is all about the transformation of the traditional fossil fuel-based system into the green system, right? So it is actually quite disrupting. It's just destroying the traditional old business into completely new one, and new technology business model comes up and competing each other. And there is definitely a lot of disruptive killing the old technology and also competing the new technologies each other. And that means that in this process, this process is quite bumpy process. But when the new technology comes up, new business model comes up. For example, the penetration of like the renewable power. Now the 30% of the renewable power is replacing the traditional fossil fuel power in China, and as a result, that's now the renewable power is everywhere. And because of this, the highly volatile variability of the renewable powers, our power source in the industry is quite destabilized, and there is risks of power shortages and wasting power. This kind of problem is everywhere. So introduction of the new technologies and this emerging green business is also is a good way to achieve the carbon neutrality, but it incurs a lot of the pain point. in the market. But the pain point is increasing. That means there is business opportunities for enterprises to capture the business opportunity by providing solutions to this pain point. You know, I just mentioned about the energy instability by the REs. But now the growing trends, there is a rising demand for after service segment for these renewable powers. That's about the energy management system. That's now the PV panel makers, wind turbine manufacturer is very keen to developing such a softwares or algorithm which helping the predicting future behaviors of the power generation and helping the end users to manage power balances, which secures a stable power supply. That's also this is the traditionally manufacturer is their mission is to create a high quality product with and reducing its cost of the prices to promote. But now their I think their competitiveness is even redefined. That they have to enter these service sectors as with this transformation, and because of the pain point is happened after sales. And these manufacturers who is building this digital platform, which they are providing this service as a software as a service, and which helping mitigating this pain point of the operation of the renewable powers. So once these end users subscribe these digital services, it's hard to switch from other turbines. So actually, now manufacturer is not just generating profit from product, but for after sales segment. So this green trend is quite disruptive. There are a lot of business new opportunity, and even the completely change the traditional business business model of the manufacturer. So that's I think it's interesting point.
Yeah, I think adding to that, this really resonates with what we are looking at. It's you're absolutely right. It's if you really want to implement green technology, it means disruption. It means changing old ways, right? And for us, the way we look at it, there are different sort of intensities of disruption, right? So if you as Go said, if you look at for example some SaaS models, right, software as a service, or even IoT models or IoT services solutions, those can be depending on the circumstance relatively lightweight, right? So plug and play. The company maybe is big state-owned enterprise, they can still do their business operations. You sort of just offer a way for them to do it more efficiently. They can actually save money by doing that, maybe, right? And then at the same time, you also solve maybe a sustainability issue, right? So this is sort of, I want to say, on the light end. But what we are also looking at is sort of more at the, very, very disruptive end of the scale. Those are trends, that might be coming, right? So if you look at the supply chain disruptions that we are facing right now in the world, right? Stuff like this will probably lead, in my opinion, to the change of how manufacturing is done, right? First of all, what you see in the media is, of course, reshoring, right? You basically move stuff back to closer to the customers. But I think even a step further, you can think about decentralized manufacturing, smaller scale factories that are basically set up, where the customers are. Sort of conceptually, there are ways to think about how, in this case, manufacturing might look in 10, 20 years, and how we as companies, as startups, can lead the way to a more sustainable future, right? So those are, I think it's important to look at it this way, to sort of understand how disruptive is something, right? Is this something that companies can really just basically use tomorrow already? Or is this something that, you know, will really be really painful basically for those companies to pull off? But I think, as Go said, I think along that scale, there are many business opportunities, because there's just this pull and push pressure for companies to do this transformation. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yep. I think this definitely answer the question, and also what both you Simon and Go provided is that is the increased interest in ESG and sustainability jobs. My question now is, exactly because we see a trend or we see immense opportunities arising, where do you believe that someone should position himself? I know it's a broad question, and let me frame it more precise. If you go to big consulting firms, or if you go to firms, big fours or so on, they would ask to know frameworks, to know very concrete knowledge. But exactly because, as Go, you said, it's very early industry, it's very hard for someone that wants and aspires to get in that industry to have that knowledge. So how can someone, if someone wants to get into the industry, how can he do it? I really like the dimension that Go and both Simon put of passion and logic, but if you go to the interview tete-a-tete, they will come to, do you know that framework? Do you know that or not? So what's your advice on that?
I think we are not try to get the position in an engineer, right? So now the company is definitely mandating these deep hard skills, deep knowledge about these the math things, experiences in tech industry. But this is only for IT. But as I said, when we are recruiting the future management, as a particularly for manager level, I think they will not make it is mandatory to have such a deep hard skills in very entry stages. I think their stance is like, okay, you can catch up by working in this industry with internal experts, so you can learn from these hard skills from our company's professional experts. But yeah, so again, still, I think they will see your fundamental skills, your personalities, first before that.
Yeah, I can't really answer this question because I never, I've never really been in contact to big corporates that are sort of filling positions in this space. So again, from my point of view, yes, passion and logic for sure. There's no question. But of course, you need some basic understanding of what's going on in the world, right? You need to understand sort of, let's say, if you want to move into something carbon related, right? You need to understand what are the biggest carbon emitters in the world, right? You need to understand at what scale we are talking about, right? You need to understand which solutions sort of will have a big leverage in those discussions, right? And which might only solve in incremental terms. I think so. This is sort of, yeah. I mean, you need to know stuff for sure, right? You can't just say, "Oh, I want to make a better world. I want to make a more sustainable world, and now give me a job." Of course, you need to do your research in the specific area that you're looking into for sure. Those are all. I mean, there's loads of stuff out there, right? Studies, reports, academic studies. We have a great sustainability community in CEIBS. Actually, you can just basically reach out to people, very senior people that are very happy to give you their inputs. So if you're really serious about it, of course, you have to do your work to prepare for sure. Yes.
Let's go to Yossi's question. Yossi, if you want to join, please feel free. I'm going to read your question. It's a very nice question. So Yossi says that, thank you very much. Looking back your career journey in sustainability field after MBA, is there any setback or opportunity cost that you regret?
Maybe starting from me, maybe. Actually, the working in this industry, green industry, is actually not like smooth path, and there is a lot. Maybe there could be the potential opportunity cost because of the this industry is still highly uncertain and quite. I can maybe say they're quite risky because this green industry is still very, the growth of this industry is still highly depend on the policy factors. So the growth level of the main driver is still the policy driven. So if the one key policy has changed, it may kill the single market. So it is no surprising that when your project which you assign will just get wiped out because of the changes in fundamental policy which justify the investment on this industry. So if you choose, you encounter this kind of experiences, which will incur maybe massive opportunity costs. And second of all, also this green industry is, frankly speaking, very fragile. It's very, when the economy enters the recessions, already this phenomena is happening right now in the world. So because most of the business in the green industry is still very early stages, and scalability of business itself is still small. So most of the business in this industry is still hard to reach generating the profit. So when the economy enters the recessions, investors first thinking about focus on the business which already making the profit and quite lucrative industry. And so from company's perspectives, in order to survive these economic recessions, they will temporarily shift their focus onto the more profit generating businesses so far. So during that recession period, probably the talents projects in green industry will face a very difficult period. And thirdly, also the Simon mentioned about a lot of disruption about new technology, and it's indeed the competition about this new technology or product is quite severe, intensely. For example, the electric battery for vehicles. Now many types of technology battery like LFP or ternary battery, solid state battery, or maybe hydrogen fuel cell could be the potential future mainstream battery, but we do not see any conclusion about which technology would be the mainstream. So if you choose, the manufacturers which has a clear focus, stick to the single technologies, such the company after failing to get these standards, in the markets, maybe completely wiped out. So that is quite risky. So regulatory risks, economical risk, and severe competition of technology, and particularly for foreigners, on top of the the geopolitical risks, for regulatory risks surrounding China. I think doing green business in China is very risky. But despite that, in long-term prospects, we cannot change this green industry is quite promising, and as long as the government decide to do not change its carbon neutrality goal, the industry will just go on developing. So if you're considering to do the business and invest some period of time in this career, think about what's next, get ready to the next problem. And if you manage to survive and in the difficult times, and manage to keep updating, innovating your business model, you will get rewarded in the end. So that is all about doing green business, a green investment or business in China.
Yeah, and I think adding to that, I mean, for me, I've only been in this field now for a year, so there was no time for me to regret too much yet. Not a lot of opportunity costs, to be honest. It's been very rewarding actually to be surrounded and involved with like-minded people, really, right? In this field, you see a lot of people, that that are full of positive energy, which is great, right? You like to, I at least like to be around those people. So not a lot of opportunity costs yet, but I think what Go said, I want to emphasize that is you need to probably be very patient in this space, right? In this space, it's not an area that generates quick profits at this stage, but this is and again, right? And it's very dependent on the economic situation, the policy, political situation. But still, I believe in the long run, I agree completely with Go that this is the only area or the only way to do business if you want to start a business right now. And then also adding to sort of the question of foreigner in China. This is a very, very difficult topic. There are, I would say now, and I hope I'm not too negative on this, more drawbacks than positives for foreigners to start their business in China. The investment landscape is not too kind to foreigners, to foreign startup founders, for example, and also, unless you have a really defensible technology, your stuff will be done cheaper and maybe better by a Chinese competitor, probably very soon. Unless you're able to, again, unless you have a defendable technology or you're able to localize very quickly, right? So this is sort of something that we also take into account when we evaluate startups. So on this side, I have to be honest, it is now a very, very tough environment for foreign founders in China, not just in green tech, but in general.
Both of you actually are mentioning of the risk and because the uncertainty, and I would expect, at least from Go's operation, which is a peripheral to ESG and sustainability in terms of that he provides services. And now it's a hot topic. I would assume that the first answer would be yes. It's a very lucrative sector to be right now because you provide services and you can cost. And now everybody's asking, but giving that dimension of risk and uncertainty is very, very valuable. Very, very valuable. Yeah. So it was just a comment back. Let me go to
maybe.
Yeah. Please.
Yeah, just really quick because. So what I see also in this space, when you can sort of provide a service for companies, I think you're in this area, right? So what I know, for example, what I've seen a lot is companies are scrambling to find service partners that can sort of measure their, let's say, carbon footprint, for example, right? So I know a few of those service providers, and they have so many requests. It's basically they can't fulfill any they can't fulfill all requests because now it's a time where companies are starting to reflect on those issues. So if you find the right angle, especially in the service world, and I think now actually you can be quite successful quite quickly. Also, I mean, you just have to find the right angle, sort of, in this space.
I would really like to hear your feedback, Go, because exactly this is my question is, what's the right angle?
Yeah, okay. So consulting services are, the universal regardless industry, but I'm just talking about the service in general in this green industry, like the, which like after sales services, right? So you mentioned that this is a kind of the additional or like the expensive services, which may be luxury, but it's actually no substitute to mitigate the pain points by utilizing this disruptive technology or new business model. Like so when you install the renewable power generations, you have to need some the algorithm platform which help you automatically manage these energy balances. So end users definitely have no experience to develop such kind of softwares by themselves, and also the data's amount is too limited if we just try to develop everything by ourselves. Then definitely we need like third-party service providers, which is clear focus and providing range of the these solution to the end users. Then they have the accumulating big data. Of course, the data is more like accuracy of such an algorithm in a digital platform is, and that's gonna even add the premium and the competitiveness of the manufacturer or service provider. So actually this service segment in the green industry is not the option, but it's inevitable. Everybody have to counting on that. So.
Very, very, very interesting. Let me go to another question. I think it's for Simon. It's from Yao Du, if I'm pronouncing correct. What does family office investment mean? What's key difference VC traditional tech versus traditional tech VC? Yes, that's the question.
Yeah, good question. Maybe I should have explained it a bit more in the beginning. So VC firm traditionally works in funds, right? So you have sort of limited partners that manage the money of general partners that are funded, that are pooled together into those funds, right? And then you have those cycles, and you usually have KPIs, right? You have a certain ROI that you need to achieve and so on, right? So in family offices are a little bit different. Usually, so in our case, for example, it's just one family. So it's one family's money. So you basically have only one general partner in that sense, right? That pays the money into the fund. It's not really like a fund, right? And then you manage, but use that money to invest just like a VC firm. Usually what it means is you invest with smaller ticket sizes, right? So maybe around, let's say $100,000 US to $2 million US per investment, something like this, as opposed to, let's say, a VC fund that would be a little bit higher than that, right? So what it then means is we are more upstream of a VC company, of a traditional VC company, right? So we usually bridge the gap between self-funded, right? So bootstrapped, and a VC firm, right? So usually there's a gap in between, a funding gap, and this is sort of where we come in. So the companies usually are in a stage where they just developed their prototype, are just getting early revenue. This is sort of the stage that we look at. So this is I mean, every family office is different, but this is sort of where most family offices that I know are investing. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I think we reached the end. I would like to summarize a few of the points that both of you made. I would like to keep the passion and logic, but also I would like to keep the knowledge that we need to have. And the platforms that we can exploit, especially here at CEIBS. It's very interesting to hear some points that we have to take into consideration. That the industry is quite risky. We have to take into consideration the ongoing changes in regulation, and we need to be prepared and well ahead of what is coming next. I think that's all from my side. If you want to add any last point, and we can close the session.
Yeah, just from my point of view, I mean, I'm always happy to talk to anybody who wants to join this space. I know it's a very still quite niche space in China, but it's a very, very interesting space. And as I said, it's full of positive energy. So, and we are hopefully encouraging more talents into joining this field, right? So if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to me.
Just from my last message is that temporarily we are in a very difficult period. Like even the Corona situation is aggravating, and or even geopolitical situation is almost destroying many startup companies in this industry. But don't be too pessimistic. I think in the long run, this industry, I'm still quite optimistic about the future business environment, including this green industry in China. So when we face difficulties, take it as opportunities rather than threat. I think it's critical, but indeed it is true. So yeah, if you have any questions, we are CEIBS alumni, so please feel free to contact us.
That was a great message to close our session. I would like to wholeheartedly thank you so much for your participation. It was a great honor both Go and Simon. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eleni, for moderation and invitation.